The work isn't done. Some days it feels like it's barely begun.
I grew up in this community here in the city of Englewood, third generation, and I've never, ever have seen anything like this here in my town, in my city.
Murals and public art simply make art accessible to communities. Instead of going into a gallery or to a museum, it's right there in the community. I think that it changes a community. I think that it contributes to the sort of culture of a community. And so to have art on the wall, particularly of Black women, I think contributes to the culture of art simply being important here, being seen here, as well as Black women and Black girls being seen here.
I think public art is supposed to be challenging. I think it's supposed to speak unspoken words.
I feel like sometimes there are communities and people that don't feel like their voice is heard, or that they're seen in the communities, or that the history that they have in that community isn't heard. And I feel like murals bring people together.
So the process for creating the design for the mural really involved doing a lot of research around the different women who contributed to Black women in Englewood and their just their historical role when it comes to protests and comes to just voting rights and simply existing and living in Englewood. I did a lot of research about just Black women here, Black folks here, how they got here, when they got here, and just sort of, what Black women have contributed to this community and to the city, which has been a lot.
So when we work in communities and do creative placemaking, one of the key factors of a good practice of creative placemaking is to listen to the community and get them involved. It's not as though we come and say, this is what we want to do, just help us. It's more, what do you want to do? What do you want to see in your community?
I don't know what it means to Englewood. What it means to me is I have two grandsons, and when they walk by, and one day they'll come see it as soon as possible, and they could say that is my grandmother. And that means more to me that I didn't do as much as Ida B. Wells or other legends that's on that wall, but I did a little something that counts for something.
This is one of a kind. This mural is one of a kind, something that I've never seen before here in this area, in Bergen County even. So I'm very proud of it. Again, very honored to be a part of it.
So I decided to include local, everyday Black women in Englewood in addition to historical figures. So you see people like Ida B. Wells, and then you also see people like local Englewood women from history who are protesting segregated schools here. So everybody in the mural is local to Englewood except for Ida B. Wells. But Ida B. Wells, we know her as a historical figure who did a lot of work for not just voting rights, but rights for civil rights and Black folks in the whole country. I decided to sort of take all of these elements and combine them into one and sort of create a mural that's really reflective of not just the history of Black women and their contribution to voting rights, but also just local current women in Englewood and how they're just as much as significant and just as important as the historical figures that we all know.
The mural is a creative placemaking project in that it not only beautifies the place of downtown Englewood, but was driven by the community. NNJCF held 2 public workshops open to Black women in the city and the community at large to learn about the Black Suffragists and their important contributions to the women's movement. In the workshops, participants shared their input into how the lives and actions of these brave women of the past inspired and impacted them today. This feedback, as well as what themes they thought should be included in the mural, informed the final design.
I run a women's center. To me, it was a no-brainer to say, there's a picture inside I wanted to bring out for this interview and I couldn't get it off the wall. It's just a small picture about this big. And it looks like it's about 100 years old, and it's a picture of women activists. Every single woman in that, and there may be 50 women in that, are white. And you could look at that picture and it's iconic even though you don't know who's in it and you don't know what it's about, but you kind of know, because we've seen those pictures before. We don't see the same pictures of black women, right? So we wanted to have an opportunity to say, let's also celebrate the fact that black women were part of this and have been part of it, but have been left out of the pictures. Not today. Today we're making sure that they're included, and we wanted to make sure that people in Englewood knew that Englewood was part of that, and Bergen County was part of that. This is, we live in a society where large swaths of people are left out of the conversation, and we wanted to make sure that didn't happen here.
This project was actually inspired by the recent 100th year anniversary of the 19th Amendment, and Englewood just seemed like a natural fit, just given their history with civil rights activism.
Well, I think this is a start. I want to encourage people to look to the arts as a way of communication, getting a message. I think that we need to engage people.
The Northern New Jersey Community Foundation is one of those very special organizations. Its leadership and Michael Shannon and others that is heartfelt and has left great impact. I'm proud to be a mayor that has them in our city.
But they were the ones who put it together, and they're the ones that are experts. I look to them when it comes to what's the cultural significance. I love that we have sirens going off in the background because we're right smack in the middle of a city. That's what this is about, that people are walking up and down the street while we're talking, while we're painting. They're the ones to ask about the significance of the art in the community. They know best.
And I just hope that other black young little girls and young adults and even older women and mothers walk by and see this mural and see themselves in it, with all of the women that fought for women's rights and equality that are gone now. But also look at my daughter and I, who are still here, and say, wow, you know what? There's still more. There's still more to fight for. There's still more to do. We have purpose in this world.
For more information about the Northern New Jersey Community Foundation and ArtsBergen, you can visit our website at www.nnjcf.org.